Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook. Facebook.com/Radio Detectives. As you're making your travel plans, remember JohnnyDollarAir.com. JohnnyDollarAir.com is a Priceline affiliate, so you get all of the benefits of going through Priceline.com. But part of your purchase price supports the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio at no additional cost to you. So remember, when making your travel plans, check JohnnyDollarAir.com first. Alright, now it's time for today's episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. The original air date is September the 9th, 1962, and this one is The Four Seas Matter.
Johnny Dollar.
Royal J. Harkins, Dollar, Greater Southwest Insurance in Los Angeles.
Yes, Mr. Harkins.
If you fly to New York, you can catch a midnight jet that will arrive here at 4:20 in the morning.
Oh, I can.
There'll be a room for you at the Beverly Hilton for whatever rest you may require, and I'll see you at my office promptly at 9 a.m.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Harkins, but I'm tied up this evening, so I'll grab a morning flight and see you about noon.
No, 9 a.m. here at my office.
Why? What's the big emergency?
A conspiracy, Dollar, to commit murder.
Oh?
Yes.
All right, then. I'll see you first thing in the morning.
The CBS Radio Network brings you Mandel Kramer in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator,
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Greater Southwest Insurance Company, Los Angeles office. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the Four Seas matter. Item 1, and this does go on the expense account, a dime for a phone call to Betty Lewis, the one gal who really counts with yours truly.
Oh, darn. I can't, Johnny.
I'm sorry, hon, but I've told you from the time I started chasing you until you caught me, this sort of thing would happen now and then.
I know, dear. Oh, until I caught you.
Well, didn't you? Look, I'll call you as soon as I get back.
Okay. I could drive you up to the airport, I suppose.
I'd love it.
Now?
Now. That's all right, Betty. The man at the desk said they'd hold it for me. Oh, I'm sorry, mister. I gotta make that flight.
Oh, and there is one girl who'd be nice if you see her out there, but just one. Doris Crutton. We went to school together.
Oh.
Ticket, please, sir.
Oh, yes, here you are.
Good, Mr. Dollar. Get right aboard, please.
Yeah. Well, goodbye, dear.
Oh, and come to think of it, Doris promised to stop and visit with me on our way to Europe this fall.
Oh, this is Doris, what's your name?
Yes.
Mr. Dollar, would you get aboard, please?
Look, I got to go, baby.
You're a real beauty, too, Johnny. You'll love her.
I'm sure I will.
May I close the gate, please?
But I'm not the least bit worried about you because I understand she's married now.
Oh,
Please,
really? Well,
Mr. Dollar?
yes, all right. Goodbye, Betty.
So if you do see her, Johnny,
Honey, the plane.
just tell Doris to write me when she's
Dollar? Look, will you please break it up? The plane is waiting. Please?
All right, I'm coming. It's well after 8:30 by the time we circle over the transmitter of station KNX and then slowly glide to a landing at L.A. International. Then, as I pick up my luggage...
Dollar, I knew it, Dollar. I knew you wouldn't get here on time.
Sorry, Mr. Hawkins. It was no fault of mine.
I know. I've been on the phone to the airline since 4:30. Well, now, come along. I have a rental car waiting for you.
Okay.
And listen, the name of our client is Crutton. That's Crutten. Harvey Crutton.
That sounds familiar.
3 C's Import Company. Crutton, Carding, and Callagher.
So?
Harvey Crutton is the senior partner, a man of about 50.
Mm-hmm.
He and his wife live out on Mulholland Drive, about a mile beyond Sepulveda. You know where that is?
Yes, I think so.
Here you are. Put in your bag.
All right. Now then, how much insurance on this man Crutton?
$250,000, double indemnity.
And his wife is the beneficiary?
Doris Crutton.
Doris.
But more important, Dollar, according to the partnership agreement with Carding and Callinger, his share of the business will pass to them.
Well, this conspiracy you told me about.
Yes. They're after him. Both of them. Here. Look here. In yesterday's paper.
Flight 262.
Man threatens to kill business partner.
Yes. Now, this other item right next to it.
Now boarding him.
Man threatens to kill business partner. They ran the same item twice.
Read them, sir. Read them.
In a posh Beverly Hills restaurant last evening, Wilbur Carding, well-known importer, told his partner Harvey Crutton in front of several witnesses.
Yes. Now read the other item.
Boarding for San Francisco.
In a bistro on the Sunset Strip late last night, Earl R.J. Callinger, well-known importer, told his partner, Harvey Crutton, in front of several witnesses.
There. You see?
Oh. Well, now, which was it? Callinger in a nightclub or Carding in a restaurant who threatened to kill him?
Both of them, don't you see, Dollar? Both of them did.
You take that kind of threat seriously? Why?
Because Crutton is bad for their business. He's one of the most disliked men in the city of Los Angeles.
Well, again, why?
Oh, shady deals and generally bad moral character. Crutton has more than any client I ever had.
Really?
Oh, I could name you a score of people who'd be glad to see him out of the way, be glad to help him on his way.
How about his wife?
Because he won't sell out to him before the business goes completely to pot. Wilbur Carding hates him most of all. Well, except perhaps for young Callinger.
What's his beef?
Well, Crutton is quite the playboy.
Well, you said he's married.
Oh, he is.
Wait a minute, you mean that Crutton is... that he's been...
Yes, Dollar. His own partners, Earl Callinger's wife.
Ouch.
Mr. Royal Harkins.
And, judging by these news stories, it's out in the open. It's public knowledge now. In other words, Dollar...
There's a telephone call for you.
Huh?
Booth...
Mr. Harkins, telephone call.
Booth B, whoever that is.
Oh, yes. I told my office I'd be here. All right, come along.
Do you honestly believe that one of his partners would go so far as to kill him?
Yes, and that each of them would do everything possible to protect, to alibi the other.
I see.
Now, excuse me, will you? Hello? Oh, my name is Harkins. Thank you. Hello? Yes? Oh, I see. Yes, well, have you notified the... I see. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Harkins...
Now, wait, Dollar. That was my office.
Oh, yeah?
They just received a call from Doris, Harvey Crutton's wife.
Yes?
Crutton is dead.
No.
And, Dollar, that means that he was murdered.
When you have to stay alert, don't let drowsiness slow you down. Perk up. Perk up with No-Dose. The safe way to stay alert without harmful stimulants. Remember, when you're driving, working, studying, and monotony makes you feel drowsy. Perk up. Perk up with No-Dose. No-Dose.
Harvey Crutton murdered.
An auto accident, his wife said. The police notified her only a few moments ago. There was some trouble identifying the body.
Where?
He drove an imported sports car, a Minerva Pacini.
Expensive.
It would seem, from what little the police told her, that he lost control going around one of those tight curves up there on Mulholland Drive. Dead man's curve.
I see.
He tore on through the guardrail and dropped some 300 feet into the canyon.
Tell me, was Crutton a pretty wild driver?
No. Definitely not. In spite of owning that Minerva Pacini. That car was purely a matter of prestige for him because of its cost and exclusivity. I doubt if there are more than 3 of them in the whole state of California.
I can believe that.
In any event, they've finally done it. They've murdered him.
In spite of the fact the police claim he simply lost control.
I believe otherwise. That he was killed first, and he and his car were pushed into that canyon. Or that somebody sideswiped him or forced him off the road or something like that. That somehow he was murdered.
You find out when it happened?
Sometime after midnight, he didn't know exactly.
Well, I guess I better get going.
Yes, Dollar, get him out there immediately.
Right. At the top of Sepulveda Boulevard, I turned left on Mulholland Drive for the mile or so to the Crutton Dress. But I'd gone only half that distance when I came to what was obviously Dead Man's Curve. A couple of prowl cars were parked there, also an emergency truck with a powerful crane on it. After showing my credentials to a patrolman who was busy keeping traffic moving and keeping the gawkers away, I half slid and half stumbled down the treacherous side of the rocky canyon to where the sports car lay in bits and pieces. Whoop!
What's the damn missile? You started avalanche. Just go on up there, telling those sightseers to turn around and climb on back the way you... Oh, this guy. Johnny!
Oh, Conroy.
Sergeant Conroy now, Johnny.
Well, congratulations. How are you, Mike?
Oh, fine, Johnny.
The corpse, Mike. Where is it?
Well, Doc Holmes was here and said it was the accident caused his death, so they hauled what's left of him off to the morgue.
An accident,
Suicide. Doc, of course, will do a post-mortem to look for alcohol or poison or whatever, but he found no sign of anything irregular here, and Doc's mighty thorough.
Exactly what happened, Mike.
I tried to take that curve too fast. Just look at the way this thing is wrecked. And I'll tell you this, Johnny.
Yeah?
I checked with the man that did his service for him, and this car was in absolutely perfect condition.
Well, even so, Mike.
And I'll tell you something else, too. He must have had brakes when he left the house. I know where he lives. He couldn't have backed out of his steep driveway without him.
But he didn't use them when he hit that curve.
Nope.
Or he couldn't.
One more thing.
Yeah?
Nobody sideswiped him, but charged at him to make him swerve suddenly.
You sure?
Well, we're sure. Tell by the tracks, or rather lack of them.
Have any idea how fast he was going, Mike, when he plowed through that guardrail?
Well, Lieutenant Ashley figures by where he first hit the side of this canyon on the way down, he must have been doing close to 90.
Okay, Mike.
Now, I'll grant you, Johnny, some of these guys who own these hot rods drive much too fast when they get out of city traffic. But they lose control because of too much speed. Happens all the time.
So?
But you know what this looks like to me? You know what I think?
What do you think, Mike?
Suicide.
That I doubt. From what I hear about the man, he wasn't the type.
Well, now, why'd he leave us home around midnight, then?
Who set that time?
Doc Holmes, he has to look at... Huh?
What's the matter?
Okay, Gordon, lower the sling whenever you're ready, and I'll tie it under the leg. Okay, look.
Where's it going to be taken, Mike?
Back to headquarters. The lab crew will take another look. After that, it's up to Mrs. Crutton. Seen her yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, quite a dish. But a strange one.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, in spite of all their money, she works like a handyman. And the way she dresses and that old jalopy she drives, and, well, you'll see.
Yeah, I think I will.
Why not? Okay, Gordon, lower away.
The house was a modest one, and the windows sparkled in the morning sun. The outside was all freshly painted, and obviously by an expert, someone who really cared. Even the floor of the garage was painted black to hide grease marks. And the so-called jalopy parked in there? Well, it too was spotless and a real beauty.
Do you like it?
What? Oh.
1938. Cleaner and runs better than the day it was born. I restored it myself. Renewed the upholstery, repainted it. The whole works. And it runs better than the day it was born.
Oh.
But come into the kitchen, will you?
Sure. You're Mrs. Crutton?
That's right, Doris Crutton. Who are you, another policeman?
No, my name is Dollar, Johnny Dollar.
The insurance investigator.
That's right.
Been hoping to meet you for years, Johnny. I'm a fan of yours.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Call me Doris, huh?
If you like.
Here. Take one of these wrenches and tighten up the wall bolts while I hold this sink in place.
You're installing this new sink yourself?
Why not? I do all the fixing around here.
Why?
Just like the car, it's my hobby. Have to do something to keep me busy. Hate to vegetate.
Oh, do you?
I get a bang out of all this do-it-yourself jazz.
Mrs. Crutton.
Doris.
All right, Doris.
Yes, Johnny.
For a minute I thought maybe this hard work, this sort of activity was just to keep your mind off of what's happened. But I guess I was wrong, wasn't I?
I don't think I know what you mean.
Well, I mean that it's rather evident you aren't terribly upset over your husband's death. Are you, Doris?
No, why should I be? Johnny, it's the one thing I've been waiting for ever since I married that miserable man.
Doris, if you felt that way about your husband Harvey, why'd you stay married to him?
Because I wanted to be sure of getting not only his money, but his insurance. $250,000. $500,000 now because of his accidental death. Anything wrong with that?
Well, I don't know, Doris.
Johnny, once I found out what a rotter he was, treating me like dirt under his feet and out with other women all the time, I felt entitled to anything I could get. I still feel that way.
Tell me, Doris, where were you when he left the house last night?
You can check, Johnny. I was at a poker game with some girls I know. I got back about 1:30. Saw that his car was missing, the way it often was. So I went to bed. Then this morning the police came and told me what happened. After they got through, I called the insurance office.
Where was Harvey going, do you know?
Whoever knew. Some cozy rendezvous, I guess. Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet Earl Kellinger's wife, Myra?
No. Why?
Just wondered. But why have you come here? Do you think maybe Harvey's death wasn't an accident?
Well, what do you think, Doris?
Well, I have no reason to think it wasn't. Because all I know is what the police told me, and yet...
Yes? Well?
Johnny, if either Wilbur Carding or Myra's husband, Earl Kellinger, did get to him somehow, did manage to cause that accident, all I have to say is thanks.
Thanks?
Well, sorry if you like.
In the end, I learned nothing of any importance except that Doris knew more than I did. So I left. Item 5, a dime for a phone call to headquarters to Sergeant Mike Conroy.
No, Johnny. Doc didn't find a thing. No drugs, alcohol, or anything in his general condition that would have made him lose control of that car.
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, if an night bird or something crashed into the windshield.
And he didn't apply the brakes? Mike, I'd like to look at that car.
Well, sure.
Good, I'll be right over. Before doing so, I dropped in at the 3 C's Import Company. Earl Kellinger looked anything but sad over his erstwhile partner's death.
Sure, I'm glad he's gone. Sure, I'm glad. Not only because of the business, but now it'll give Myra, that's my wife, it'll give her a chance to come back to her senses again, behave like a decent wife and mother again.
And you'll forgive her, Kellinger?
Oh, she's only a kid, Dollar, a naive kid. And if Harv had a chance to charm her with his phony manners and all his money, well, maybe it was partly my fault, because I was so tied up with his business.
Just the same, you had a mighty powerful motive for wanting to kill him, didn't you?
Oh, now, don't be ridiculous. Hey, wait a minute, Dollar. You mean that crash wasn't an accident?
Where were you late last night?
On a train. On the way back from San Francisco, a business trip. I got in here at 8 o'clock this morning.
Can you back that up?
Well, sure I can. Ask Wilbur Carding. He was with me.
I was afraid of that.
And 3 of our salesmen, too. Ask them. Ask the cops. They checked us out. Now, listen, Dollar.
All right. Just keep your shirt on. As I fully expected, Wilbur Carding gave me exactly the same story. So did the salesmen that they'd had with them. The police had checked their alibis thoroughly. They both insisted that I call headquarters to confirm the fact. So, kind of left me sitting there with egg on my face.
All right now, Mr. Dollar, be honest with us. Do you really have any reason to think it might have been murder?
Well, Mr. Carding, I guess I thought I had.
What reason?
Motives. Your motives. Yours and your partner's. The only motives that seem to make any... Now, wait a minute. Hold everything.
Yes?
What is it, Dollar?
3 C's.
That's the name of our company.
Yes.
Three C's Import Company.
Yes, I know. But there's another one. A fourth C. Excuse me.
What?
I'll see you later. Hunch? Not by a long shot. Because of something Betty Lewis had said to me before I left Hartford. About Doris planning a trip to Europe this fall. Doris alone. I drove to headquarters, and back of the place, a crew was going over what was left of the Minerva Pacini.
And here, Johnny, look at the neat lineup of the tools for one of these babies. Here under the rear deck.
That's exactly what I came to look at.
A specially molded velvet-lined compartment for every one of them. Even the lug wrench. And all of them in the metric system instead of American standard.
Wait a minute, Mike.
Yeah?
Where's the little tool that was supposed to fit in this compartment?
Well, it could be most anywhere in this mess.
The brake system on a Minerva Pacini and the bleeder valve for letting air out of the brake lines.
Johnny, you think maybe somebody could have opened that bleeder valve just a hair?
It's a possibility, isn't it?
Oh, but you can't tell by looking at this wreck. It's too far gone.
I know, Mike. But if that special wrench is where I think it is. Mike, I'll see you. Now, let's see what this garage will yield. All very neatly arranged. Oh, look.
I suppose I might have known you'd be back, Johnny.
Yes, Doris, I'm back. You want to tell me where it is? In this drawer, maybe, huh?
If you mean the tools I used to fix up my old jalopy, yes.
Including this very special little wrench? Metric system? Well, Doris?
I guess you know then, don't you?
For a Minerva Pacini, isn't it? To fit a bleeder valve on the brake line. You loosened it, didn't you? Just a little. And by the time he got to Dead Man's Curve, he'd lost just enough fluid in the lines to make his brakes completely useless. Why, Doris? Why you?
Somebody had to do it, Johnny. I'd waited so long and nobody else would. So I had to kill him. I shouldn't have, I guess.
No, Doris. You shouldn't have. So once again, it's up to the courts. I suppose if she hadn't done it, somebody else would, like her, in the mistaken belief he could have gotten away with it. Expense account total, including mileage on the rental job and the trip home, $401.23. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Can you get premium gasoline performance at regular gasoline price? Find out what so many other car owners have found. In 3 out of 5 cars, regular priced Sinclair Dino gasoline matches performance of premium gasoline. Saves you up to 4 cents a gallon. Almost anywhere you see the Sinclair sign, you can save up to 4 cents a gallon with Dino and still get premium performance and mileage. Drive with care and buy Sinclair Dino gasoline. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is written by Jack Johnstone, produced and directed by Fred Hendrickson. Johnny Dollar is played by Mandel Kramer. Also featured in our cast were Grace Matthews, Mercer McLeod, Frank Milano, Walter Kinsella, Vivian Smolin, Robert Dryden, Joseph Boland, Barbara Whipple, and Larry Robinson. Music supervision by Ethel Huber. Sound patterns by Walter Otto. Technical supervision by Fred Turner. Be sure to join us next week, same time, same station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Art Hanna speaking. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Welcome back. Okay, this one, I really had to wonder, like, why did she feel the need to bring this wrench back in the house? Because to me, it seems like just leaving it in the car would have made sense. As it is, yeah, it's like in throwing it in with her own tools, it's not quite enough to put her in the class of your average Mr. Keen murderer, but it's pretty close to it. I do think that this is another one of those episodes that really does lead me to think that in these latter days of the series, that it was not really living up to its full potential. With Johnny Dollar, you could essentially go anywhere in the world. You could investigate any sort of crime. And it seems like Mandel Kramer's Johnny Dollar has looked into way too many cases of women just killing their rich, no-good old husbands. At any rate, we turn now to listener comments and feedback, and we have this from Michael. I'm curious, Adam, what do you think the chances for yours truly Johnny Dollar TV series would do today? I guess there are a couple ways to interpret that. What do I think the chances are that a series would be made, and how would it do? I guess chances of it being made are pretty thin. When you look at the series that have been remade, and certainly Hollywood is in a nostalgia binge, and you can argue a little bit of lack of, originality in revisiting, ideas. Most of them are from the 80s. You have stuff like MacGyver, Fuller House. You have Magnum P.I., She-Ra, Carmen Sandiego. That's stuff that a lot of people in their prime watched in their 30s and 40s, and provides a good solid base audience. I think that, one exception you could point to, I guess, would be Hawaii Five-0. But even though that was mainly a 60s and 70s show, that was a show that never went off the air, and a lot of people watched and loved the original for decades to come. With Johnny Dollar, it's a series that went off the radio in 1962 and has kind of been followed by a smaller niche audience. I don't think it would be a stretch to say that CBS doesn't view this as a hot property. A gentleman actually made a sort of one-man show recordings of him doing Johnny Dollar, and he's selling it, and he said he got a license from CBS for not that much money. So I don't think they're looking at it as a potential, TV series. Though I guess if Netflix came knocking at their door, they might charge a much bigger license fee. As to how it would do, well, that really depends on how it's done. A writer friend of mine says you can do anything you want in writing as long as you do it well. And the same thing applies to television. I don't think it's a concept that absolutely would not work, but it all would depend on the execution and a lot of other factors whether it would actually work. On top of that, if such a show was to be made, who do you feel would be ideal to play the role? I would also like to ask this in the form of a movie as well. Well, Michael, I am probably one of the worst people you can ask because I don't watch a lot of TV shows. And, I think I might watch a total of 5, but I don't think that 2 of them, more than 2, are really on at one time of current programs. And I also don't watch a ton of movies, though I've been watching more in recent years. They're very set to some specific genres. And so I would struggle with both of them because I don't have a wide sampling of actors or any actors I'm actually a fan of. For a TV version, I mean, I guess Harley Sawyer, maybe. Most of the stuff I've seen him in has been a bit more comedic, but I think he's probably the right age, and I think he could stretch into the more dramatic take on Johnny Dollar, maybe even more like a Charles Russell sort of Johnny Dollar over TV. In series, played Mystique in the movies. She could be pretty good. And I'll add in another male character. I think Christian Kane would be a decent Johnny Dollar. Maybe Christian Kane would be another one. And of course, they might try changing the gender of the character to fit with the modern times, and we would get Johnny Dollar with Johnnnie, in which case maybe Rebecca Romaine. She played Mystique in the X-Men movies, though I haven't seen, I think, but maybe one or two of those. But she played the guardian on the librarians and managed to really have that sort of tough, no-nonsense character, but without going over the top. And I think she would work well. Maybe Candace Patton if they wanted a younger Johnny. Maybe for film, I don't know. That's tough. Again, not really an expert on the really solid box office smash film actors. And it's not that I don't have favorite actors, it's just that they're all dead. I mean, the only idea that occurs to me for a film adaptation would be Michael Pena. But that's only because he was in the Ant-Man movie, and I would like, and there's part of me that's just curious about having a Johnny Dollar where the expense account is told in the same style as Luis in the Ant-Man movies, but I might suspect that'll get a little old after 90 minutes. And I don't even know for the gender swap version. Maybe Haley Atwell doing an American accent. Michael goes on, we had Sherlock Holmes rebooted several times in the last few years. We had Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman series from the UK, the Elementary series with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu on TV, and of course the Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law and Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. What are your thoughts on those? All right, so starting with Sherlock with Cumberbatch and Freeman, I actually like the series generally. I love series 1. I thought series 3 was quite strong, and in general, I enjoyed the series. I thought there were some great production values, did a good job reimagining what Holmes would be like in the 21st century, and there were some clever visual things, some nice takes on mysteries. I do think that there were some missteps in the series, and it's one of those things with anything that Stephen Moffat does. There's a tendency to really just try to be too clever and to play too many tricks on the audience and go into stuff that's weird and not quite justified, and stuff that kind of sounds like it would be epic, when you're, writing about it on a piece of paper. But when you think about it, it's just kind of off. I wasn't a huge fan of series 2 and honestly thought The Abominable Bride was tripe. Elementary, I thought it had some good points. I enjoyed season 1 well enough to watch through season 2 when it became available on Hulu, and I had Hulu at that point. But by the end of season 2, I was pretty much done with it. Now, obviously, there were folks who liked it all the way through, but to me, it was just too much self-help books, sort of dialogue from Sherlock, and too much modern melodrama, and I didn't care much for where they were going with Lucy Liu's character, so I just decided I'm good to stop with season 2. The Robert Downey Jr. Jude Law Sherlock Holmes films I thought were fine. They were not my favorite by any means, but they were essentially what Sherlock Holmes would have to be if you wanted the character to be a summer blockbuster. And particularly when you get to the second film, it's got almost a steampunk sort of feel to it. While it's not my favorite Holmes films, I think they did all right. And, if somebody was over and wanted to watch them, I wouldn't object to watching them again. As to the Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly film, I have little interest in seeing this. Actually, no, that's not accurate. I have no interest. No, let me back that up again. I have negative interest in seeing this. I would rather watch Sherlock Gnome than this film. It looks horrible to me. I would rather be tied to a chair in a room without food and water and forced to watch the worst Rathbone and Bruce film, The Woman in Green, for 72 hours straight rather than watching this one film once. Thankfully, that's not a choice I practically have to face, but I have thought through which I would prefer. And on all of these films and TV shows, I appreciate that others may have opposing viewpoints. That's just how I feel about it, and that's what he asked. Michael concludes with, "Keep up the great work. Love the show." Then we have an email from Mark. Mark says, "Adam, you mentioned that your bride and you like to read through a script out loud, each taking half the parts. So here I am asking that you pick one of your favorites and record it with just you and Andrea reading it. Any show or script you want, record it and share it with the rest of us as a show extra." Well, Mark, we've actually only gone through a whole script once, so I don't know, maybe someday, but not anytime soon. But I appreciate the interest. All right, well, that will do it for today. I do want to thank our Patreon of the day. Thank you so much to Nolan, who has been one of our Patreon supporters since April of 2018 and is currently supporting us at the rookie level of $2 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Nolan. And that will do it. Join us back here tomorrow for Dragnet. Next Tuesday, Dr. Tim Detective will be in, and we'll be back next Friday with another episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook. Facebook.com/Radio Detectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.